We'll just take a little time for some discussion, but preceding it, we'll have another bhajan. The word bhajan comes from the word budge. And this is the only place in the world you get these flower garlands. Budge means to express the devotion that's in your heart. It's natural that every living being has the propensity to love. And we repose our love in various places. But when we repose our love in Krishna, then it's perfectly and unlimitedly reciprocated. Or I should say, Krishna perfectly and unlimitedly reciprocates the love with us. And one of the foremost ways in which one in bhakti, one who's practicing bhakti, expresses this love is through song and music. Song, music, rhythm automatically opens the heart anyway. That's why people revere poets and songwriters so much. They want to go there, see them, touch them, and they songwriters, singers, they open people's hearts. They give them insights. This tradition comes from bhakti, the singing. And so bhajan means to sing from one's heart. And there are thousands and thousands of songs written by self-realized souls. And singing those songs written in the mood of bhakti by those who are self-realized, it gives us an opportunity to look through a window into the spiritual world and to also perfectly align our bhakti. And so this next song is written by the same author as the first song we sang this morning, which was started with "O Hey Vaishnava Thakur," which was honoring those great souls, the men and women who are absorbed in pure devotional service. And then this song was written by the same author named Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And song is an expression of the various relationships in the spiritual world. So spiritual practice means relationship. We are eternally connected to Krishna. And we can enter into a devotional relationship with Krishna. So this song talks about various devotional relationships. Can we see it? It starts Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. It's talking about Krishna in Vrindavan. And Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivaridhari talks about how he consorts with his various devotees in Vrindavan. He's also named as Giri, which means hill or mountain, Varadari, the one who lifted Govardhan hill. Yashoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana means that his loving relationship with Yashoda and Nandana, who were ostensibly his parents there in Vrindavan. And Jamuna Tira Vanachari, one who performs his pastimes by the Jamuna. The Jamuna is a sublime river in Vrindavan, which evokes this spiritual sentiment. And so we'll sing this song, and then we'll have a discussion on the Shrimad Bhagavatam. How's that sound? Okay. May I please have a Shrimad Bhagavatam, third canto, with Satam Prasangam Mama Virya Sambido. So here's a mantra for you. It's famous, and in other ages was chanted again and again by sages. I'll say one word at a time. If you'd like, you can repeat and enter into sagedom. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Now let's say all together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And then in the next verse, Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudira. You'll find in the culture of bhakti, when you get into this context of discussing the pastimes of Krishna, the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, there's a preamble. And the preamble is to set the mood and create auspiciousness, to honor those who have given it to us. There's the giver and the gift. And we honor first the giver, then the gift. And so we have this verse, which is saying what I just said, that before we recite the Shrimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest. And what does that mean? It means that we're in a fight for our lives here in this world. It's a world of suffering. And we're being dragged downstream. If you've ever been in a current and you feel yourself being pulled away, how will we be released before we are swept away and lost? Well, we need help. That's one of the main ideas in bhakti. Please help me. I'm drowning. And so how will we have a conquest over our own impulses and the counterintuitive desire we have to stay in the world and suffer? How will we rise above that to a level of dignity where we're able to control our own senses and be self-determining and not immersed in bad habits that we know are not good for us? How will we rise above the mind? Well, there's a means of conquest, and that is hearing Shrimad Bhagavatam. The Shrimad Bhagavatam is another incarnation of Krishna. When we talk about the ways in which Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appears in the world, he makes himself as accessible as possible to everybody. So one of the ways he incarnates in the world is as a book. That is, it looks like paper and ink, but it's where the temporal paper and ink meet the eternal in one place. How do you take advantage of that? Well, much the way you take advantage of a bridge. A bridge crosses a gap. We have a gap between the material and spiritual world, so how will we cross that? By hearing Shrimad Bhagavatam. It's our escape. It's our way of entering into the spiritual world, even as we sit here in the middle of Silicon Valley. And the conquest takes place from the inside out. It's described how the sound vibration of the Shrimad Bhagavatam itself is not from this world. It comes from the spiritual realm. So how do you take advantage of it? By hearing. And as we discussed last night, Shravanam, or hearing, is the first step to advancing in bhakti. Now check and see if you got a standard pair of ears thrown in with your human robot. You have a human robot? Yeah, you do. And what do you get standard thrown in for free? 2 ears. Don't look at them too long in the mirror or you'll freak yourself out because you're like, what the heck is that? Well, what it is two little devices, count them two, to capture sound vibration. And by sound, we may be liberated, or by sound, we may become more entangled in the world. And that's why we have a brain in between the 2 ears, is to develop the brain so that we can make the right choice. And when we're able to make the right choice to hear the sound vibration that liberates, that means that we've entered into the realm of bhakti, and we're able to conquer over the proclivities that have been ingrained in us by bad association for many, many lifetimes. So Shrimad Bhagavatam is in that way our means of conquest, and all we have to do is hear it. And then the verse goes on that we offer respectful obeisance with bowed head and folded hands to the personality of Godhead. God is one, but he has various features. And the topmost of all those features is that he's a person. The personality of Godhead, or we call the Supreme Personality of Godhead, SPOG, if you want to abbreviate it. Because God does not have the defect of being only impersonal. How could he? How could he be complete if he was not a person? And how could we be persons if we're emanations from God? Besides that, we're not thrilled by impersonality. In fact, we abhor impersonality or situations in which we have no variety. We strive for seeing, hearing, touching, and especially relationships of love. And so in the Bhagavad-Gītā, Krishna describes bhoktāraṁ yajña-tapasāṁ sarva-loka-maheśvaram suhṛdaṁ sarva-bhūtānāṁ jñātvā mam śāntim ṛcchati. He said, if you want śānti, what is śānti? Peace. If you want to feel peaceful, which is impossible in this world, and especially in Silicon Valley, then there's three things that you can come to understand which will allow you that peace you're looking for. And the first one is that if you want the love that you're seeking in this world fully reciprocated, then give your heart to the personality of Godhead. That's what it means, bhoktāraṁ yajña-tapasāṁ. Many people you give your love to can't give it back. True or false? But Krishna can give unlimited love back. Whatever we give him, even the tiniest gesture, if you just one day, unsophisticated, without any context, you just had an urge to offer God a little flower or a leaf that you found, and you just offered it in a simple way, no ritual involved, just from the heart, he will accept it. That's one of the main themes of the Bhagavad-Gītā. If you're sincere and you try to offer something, then Krishna will accept it and he'll reciprocate directly with you. And he's only waiting for that. And that's what bhakti means. I understand that I'm looking for love in all the wrong places. I'm trying to give my affection to those who can't fully reciprocate it. Incidentally, when we develop this sense of loving Krishna, then we're able to more fully love everyone. Because our capacity for love for individual entities separated from Krishna is limited. We may love them and then we may hate them. But there's a deeper level of love when we understand that everybody's part of Krishna. Every animal, every plant, even some of the 52 cousins that we have that we don't like at all, we even love them because we know they're part of Krishna. It's a different level of love. Sarva-loka-maheśvaram means this solves all your problems if you were worrying about your 401k or how to protect your apartment or your property or anything else you have. We've got a policy for you right here, which means sarva-loka-maheśvaram. Krishna said, don't worry, I own it anyway. And the moment we flip the switch and say everything belongs to Krishna, it doesn't mean we don't do due diligence and get insurance and fund our 401ks, but we understand, when we understand clearly that Krishna owns it all, it's all his stuff. And we have no misconception that I can hold on to anything in this world. We come in empty-handed, we go out empty-handed. While we're here, if we have this clear idea, this is not my stuff. This is an Uber I'm driving in or an Airbnb I'm living in. It doesn't belong, there's policy, somebody else owns it. I'm just staying there. And then suhṛdaṁ sarva-bhūtānāṁ means that if you understand that Krishna is your best friend, and he's benevolent at every second, and everything that happens to us is specially designed to bring us to our highest potential. These three give us peace. And so we offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, especially in those three ways, with those three understandings. And then those who are avatars who have come to this world to help us, like Narayan Rishi, great sage who held forth so that many people could see the path of devotional service. Mother Saraswati, who is that? She's the goddess of learning. If you want to get 1600 on your SAT, you better ask Saraswati. And then we have Vyasadeva. Vyasa means the one who takes the eternal wisdom of the Vedas and he makes it available to the world. Out of a sense of compassion that without knowledge, human beings can't rise above the anomalies of the material world. And therefore we say, Tato Jaya Mudira, this is our very means of conquest. Does anybody have any reflections from the preamble? Anything that you heard that stuck or that you have a query about? What's one thing you heard? Yes. You get a free mic with every comment in this class. But it belongs to Krishna. Okay, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for this detailed explanation. So, a lot of times, right, we want to read Bhagavatam and we are so focused on getting to the words and reading it. But I realize like sometimes throughout the day, we do like so many activities, right? So these prayers, set that platform, to purify us so that we can relish the Bhagavatam more. So that's one thing I realized, that you have to set your mind in a right frame to understand the Bhagavatam. And these prayers like get us to that platform. Then you can relish it very well.
Yeah, and if you're in a big hurry, start when you wake up in the morning and do your preamble as soon as you open your eyes. Then you can offer everything you do the rest of the day in that same mood. That's highly recommended as a lifestyle choice in bhakti. As soon as you open your eyes, don't turn on CNN. I don't even know if they're still on, but whatever sound vibration you hear when you first wake up, whatever intention you make as soon as you open your eyes, that will frame the rest of your day. So there are bhakti affirmations that you can say as soon as you open your eyes. And that starts you with this frame of entering into bhakti. Did you have a point you'd like to make?
Hare Krishna. I was thinking, Prabhu, that there is a actual process to read Bhagavatam, and it just clicked right now when you were explaining the verse. And I was thinking that this, it says that to offer respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, and then unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, then Mother Saraswati. So we all owe to them for assisting in assimilating the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam. That's what I was contemplating, like Mother Saraswati is the goddess of learning, and then also Srila Vyasadeva, who wrote the Bhagavatam. So without their blessings and previous Acharya's blessings, it's not very easy to comprehend what is there in the Bhagavatam. I was just thinking around that aspect.
Thank you very much. Nice summarization of the point. Appreciate it. And now, shall we look at the Bhagavatam? Are you wondering what is all this about? I'll give a verse from the Shrimad Bhagavatam, from third canto. There's 12 cantos in all. This is from the third. The 25th verse, third canto, 25th chapter, and the verse is number 25. So 3:25:25. And this is a conversation between a saint named Devahuti. She was the daughter of a great king, and she is noted in the Bhagavatam as being one of the topmost devotees, Devahuti. It just so happened that she had access to Krishna and was able to ask him many questions. Krishna comes in many incarnations, and the incarnation here that she's speaking to and asking questions of and who's answering her is named Kapila. Everyone say Kapila. And her name is Devahuti. So it's a conversation between Devahuti and Kapila. It just so happens that Kapila is her son. He appeared in her womb. And here he's talking, is Kapila, about, this chapter is entitled The Glories of Devotional Service. What's in it for you to practice devotional service? And this verse starts off, I'll just mention some of the Sanskrit words and how they relate to our discussion, and then see if you can generate questions when I speak it that might help open the conversation further. Does that sound fair? Free microphone for every question, and if you ask a bad question, we have $100 for you. Okay, so the first word in the verse is satam. And the idea behind this is that it means somebody who lives in truth, sat. The satam means the group of people who are interested in knowing and distinguishing reality from illusion. In the Bhagavad-Gītā, Krishna talks about the ways in which there are different energies. We talked about that last night briefly. And in the briefest of summaries, he said, one of the energies is temporary. That's the material energy. It's constantly changing. And the other energy is never changing. It's always existent in the highest state, which is pure consciousness. And there's a difference between pure consciousness and impure consciousness. So those who are satam are interested in developing pure consciousness. And they've been able to distinguish the difference between being in pure consciousness and being in impure consciousness. That's satam. And then prasangat. Prasangat means, it comes from the word sangha. Everyone say sangha. So sangha means a connection. Anga means something that's part of you, and sangha. Sangha means that, in this context, it means you make a connection with the satam. Who are the satam? Yes, those who are situated in reality. And satam prasangam means to stay connected with those who are seeking the truth and who are situated in truth. Now, in the Bhagavad-Gītā, Krishna says, Jayato vishayam pumsam sangas teshu bhajayate. Sangat sanjayate kama, kama krodo bhajayate. And that is that we can make other kinds of sangha besides with sat, with those who are absorbed in the process of devotional service. That means if you associate with those who are interested, or I say optimistic about the material world. What would be a sign of optimism for the material world? That one way or another will make it through. I'm sure there's plenty of songs, heroic songs written to express how, well, no matter how difficult the material world is, I'm still going to try to find happiness here. We could translate it into a song later. There are plenty more about that topic. And that means there's two kinds of heroes in the world, Srila Prabhupada said. One is the one who fights valiantly to try to enjoy the material world despite the odds. And the odds are staggering. Shall I mention the odds, the statistics behind it? You like statistics? Okay. The death rate 1 million years ago and 5,000 years ago And in 2025 is the same as it's ever been. Do you know what it is statistically? 100%. Therefore, anything we conquer in this world, any way in which we prevail in this world, will be erased by the most drastic of all situations we have in our life, which is death. It can ruin your whole day. Mrityu sarva-harashaham. Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gītā that I come as death, I take away everything. So a wise person, Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gītā, doesn't put a stake in the material world. He says, yehi samspashacha bhoga dukkha yonaya evate, which means a person looks at the world and says, aha, it's temporary, so what can I do with it? I can use everything here as paraphernalia to serve Krishna, bhoktāraṁ yajña-tapasāṁ. And that way you score huge points, eternal points. On the other hand, he says, if you try to grab onto the material world and hold it and say, this is mine, you're going to lose. Because it has a beginning and an end. Adyantavanta Kaunteya, he says to his student, Arjuna, he calls Kaunteya, he says, it has a beginning and an end, so you can't keep it, so you can't hold it. Instead, use it for the higher purpose, which is serving God. And if we don't have that information, or we don't heed that information, then we may have we maintain an optimism about one way or another holding on to the material world, then we'll be disappointed. So those who are optimistic about the material world are called asat. They're not interested in the truth. They'd rather stay asleep, despite the fact that the writing is on the wall. So the verse goes on, and it talks about how when you associate with sat, or devotees, the sound vibration is what matters. In the association of those who are optimistic about the material world, you're going to hear a categorically different kind of sound vibration than you hear in the association of satam, or devotees. What might you hear in the association of devotees? Just by your experimentation so far in being around devotees. Yes? What might you hear? You might hear Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna is not a material sound vibration. It's a prayer to God, and that's what you're going to hear. You also might hear something like we're talking about today, Shrimad Bhagavatam, the topics. And on the other side, there are unlimited topics to discuss. When I was a kid, there was 2 channels on television, and you had to walk across the room to change the channel. And nowadays, there are at least 1,000. Am I exaggerating? You can buy at least 1,000 channels. There's a wedding cake channel. There's probably a goldfish channel. There's a channel for everything. And you can just sit there and click. So there's lots of things you can listen to, hear about, sound vibrations that you can absorb yourself in. But when you associate with satam, the vibration is from the spiritual world, because that's what satam devotees are interested in. So that's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to sing about. So what's so great about that? He goes on to say in this verse, Bhavanti hritkarna rasayana kata. So rasayana means medicine. And when we have some disease, it's very nice, first of all, to have it diagnosed. Don't you hate it when you feel infirm and then you go to a doctor and the doctor says, I have no idea what you have? Do you hate that or not? Scale 1 to 10. 10 means hate, 1 means you don't care. 10. So getting things diagnosed is really important. The Bhagavad-Gītā, we'd already talked about the diagnosis. Then, well, what about the medicine? Then they may diagnose the disease and then say, yeah, but we don't have anything that can cure that. That's another option, right? First, I don't know. Next is I know, but there's nothing we can do for you. Which do you hate worse? Not knowing or knowing and then not having the cure? Which one? Which one's worse? Second? Yeah, that's horrible. We can help contain it, but nothing we can do about it. So the third option is you meet the doctor diagnoses, and then she says, and I also have the cure. How do you like that compared to the other two? The answer is a lot. We like it a lot. I like it a lot. I've had, physical problems before. Go to a million doctors. They tell you all kinds of stuff, and I just knew they were guessing. And I finally met somebody who said, I know what it is. I can cure it. And I said, no, you can't. He said, yes, I can. And cured it. And that's a happy day. So this is a happy proclamation in this verse, which is Satam prasangam mavirya sambido bhavanti karna rasayana kata. It's like, we know your problem. We have the medicine. You could take it. So what's the medicine? The medicine is taken in a special way. Different medicines are taken in different ways. I won't go into all the details, but there's a way in which this medicine goes into the ear. And that comes back to why we have these two things. They're portals for taking medicine. So what is the medicine? It's the kata, the chanting of Hare Krishna, the sound that comes from the satam. So if you're around the devotees, you'll hear music, and it's bhajan. It's devotional music. You'll hear Hare Krishna, which is Krishna directly incarnated in his name. You'll hear Shrimad Bhagavatam readings. All these kind of things go into the ear. And where do they go from there? It says bhavanti hrit. Hrit means the heart. So it goes from here, you take it yourself. Then it goes here into the heart. And it cures the disease that holds us down in the material world. And that's described as pa, ba, ma in the Sanskrit alphabet. Maybe I shouldn't say it because it's too heavy. You can't handle it, right? I'm not convinced. Only 3 people said they can. Everybody else is freaking out. They're going like, what are you going to tell us? Pa, ba, ma. Pa means that you have to work hard in the material world no matter who you are. As soon as you're born into any family, whatever it is, they got a trust fund for you, or they're coaching you how to push a rickshaw or something, because you got to work hard once you come into the world, because we come into the world as debtors. This is called karma. Karma means a cosmic debt that we have to others, and you got to pay it off. So as soon as you're born, they're going, come on, start walking. Now see that sign over there that says school? Get in there. You got to learn how to earn a living. And it doesn't end. It never ends. Pa. And how hard do you have to work? Pa means finial. Sanskrit, it means that foam comes from your mouth. How hard are you working? Well, let's take a look at your face. No, not hard enough, because foam isn't coming out yet. Ba means that whatever we do, ultimately, we have to give back. So we work hard for that which is temporary, and we become discouraged when we lose it. And then pa means bhayam, fear. Fear means that even as I'm doing anything in this world, I'm looking over my shoulder thinking, when am I going to lose it? And as soon as you get money, you start thinking, like, who's going to steal it? Is the government going to take a bigger part of it than I wanted? Is one of my 52 cousins going to come and say, I need a heart transplant, you're the only one in the family can pay for it, hand over the money? One way or another, it's all going to go, so we're fearful. And pa, ma. Hate to bring it up again, but ma means mrityu, or death. It's all erased. That's called the path of the material world. But when you take the medicine that comes from associating with devotees, then it becomes, wait for it, instead of pavarga, that's what's represented by those syllables I just pronounced, it becomes apavarga. Everyone say. Apavarga. So apavarga means, when you put an A in front of a Sanskrit word, it often reverses the meaning. So it means now, take away, it's like an undo button. Have you ever wanted one of those? Have you ever done something and you thought, I wish I could undo that? And if somebody gave you a little undo button, You know, you said something you shouldn't have to somebody, right? And then, like, how am I going to take this back? Well, you can't unless you hit the undo button. And the way Krishna describes our sojourn in the material world is we've done a lot of stuff that we wish we could have taken back. And so you get an undo button here. You're on the path of pavarga, but if you take this medicine, then it puts you on the path of apavarga. It means it reverses all the anomalies we just mentioned, pa-pa-pa-pa-ma. And you're on an upward trajectory to the spiritual world. How's that happen? Take the medicine through the ear, goes to the heart, reverses the whole process. And then he goes on to say, Tajjoshanat ashvapavarga vartmani, which means that very quickly this happens. It's not that ashu means quickly. It happens, it's noticeable. Like some medicine you wait around, like Ayurvedic medicine. You got a thing and then it's like, how long is it going to take? Like 3 years before you'll notice anything. Plus you have to eat soft food for 3 years. Then maybe you'll notice it. No, Ayurvedic medicine is excellent for many things. All the Ayurvedic doctors out there. I take it myself. So, how fast does this work? Practically immediately. You can experience it for yourself that you're getting relief from pavarga. Your heart changes. In the association of devotees, you hear the sound vibration. It gives you a sense of perspective of the world, of yourself, and it helps loosen those barnacles that have grabbed onto you and won't let go. And you start to feel lighter and happier. And then finally in the verse it says, Shraddha, Ratir, Bhakti, Anukramishati. So the last word in the verse is Anukrama. So krama means to step or to move forward by stepping. And anukrama means there's a process that will unfold in your life one step at a time when you associate with devotees and you hear the transcendental sound vibration, Anukramishati. And what is it? It's mentioned in the 3 words preceding it. So Shraddha, everyone say Shraddha. Da, the ending of Shrad, is an active verb. It means where you place something. And Shrad means your heart. So have you ever heard the phrase, you got to put your heart into it? Yeah, that's Shraddha. And everyone, Krishna says in the Bhagavad-Gītā, puts their heart into something in this world. Everybody, because that's our nature as living beings. We want to do something. We want to love somebody. We want to invest ourselves in something. We want to put our heart into it, because that's what we are. We're heartfelt beings. We're sentient, means we're heartfelt. And so Shraddha means you are placing your heart in the right place. You're giving your heart to satam, to truth, to hearing about Krishna. And that's where your heart's going. You place it there and you become invested in that, heart to heart. It's what your main thing is. And you may externally be engaged in many different activities, like working on a spreadsheet. You may sit in a cubicle. You may drive an electric car. You may have an electric toothbrush. You may talk to people around the world simultaneously from different time zones and stay up all night to try to organize a team. You may do all these things, but even as you're doing them, Shraddha, your heart is in Krishna. That's Shraddha. So that's what you get by associating with devotees. That will awaken your heartfelt desire to be with Krishna, to hear about Krishna. And then comes rati. Everyone say rati. Rati means love, affection. You start to develop a sense of true affection for Krishna. And this is what is known as the blossoming of the bud that is there in our heart. We all have potential to love. And when we hear about Krishna and the association of devotees, then that bud starts to open. And Then the third word is bhakti. Does that sound familiar? Bhakti, right? And bhakti means when the flower completely opens and it blooms. If you've ever seen a flowering tree, in Japan in April is a cherry blossom season. And when you got to be there at the exact right time. Transitory beauty. In Japan, people celebrate transitory beauty. It's a part of Shintoism and also Buddhism, where beauty's here, and they also celebrate that it's then gone. It's fleeting. It comes and goes. And there's a point at which the trees, the cherry trees, of which the whole country of Japan is awash in, and you may, in your neighborhood, see somebody who really took care to landscape their house. And especially in springtime, you go by and you go, wow, look at that. Well, that's the whole country of Japan. It's all landscaped, every inch. So in the springtime, when all the trees blossom, especially the cherry trees, and they're at their pinnacle of blossoming, it's called mankai. And if you look at that tree, you just go, I'm not leaving. I'll just stand here. People fly to Japan just to see, try to time it so they can be there to see the cherry trees fully blooming. And that's bhakti. Bhakti means when the heart completely opens and it's full bloom, then you can hold a festival. Invite everybody over, feed everybody, go out and dance in the street because your heart is now open. You've achieved the perfection of life. Perfection of life is not to be miserly. It's not to be sad all the time because I have no prospect. It's to understand that I have complete prospect in life and everything's possible just by associating with devotees and hearing the transcendental vibration that comes from Shrimad Bhagavatam, from Hare Krishna. And from that, Anukramishriti, step by step, I'll notice the unfoldment of what is called by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shikshashtakam is very concise teachings about devotional service and chanting Hare Krishna. He calls it the opening, the blooming of the white lotus of good fortune. Now I ask you, would you like to have the blooming of the white lotus of good fortune, even if you don't know what it is, in your life? Yeah, that's one of those things you just say yes. You know, it's like, how would you like the white lotus of good fortune to bloom in your life? And you're like, yes, okay, I don't know, what is it? But take first, my hand was up first. You could see. That's what we want. Everybody wants it, but we're not getting it. So there is a process. It's called bhakti. And satam prasangam amaviri sambhivot, it's such a clear verse. It's not so hard. It's simple. It's just we have to keep association with those who already have their vision fixed on the ultimate goal of life. They work in companies. They drive cars. They don't live necessarily in a cave. They're interacting with the world in every which way. But their heart is absorbed in the ultimate goal of life. And if you stick in that association, then you'll find an unfoldment of the same thing in your life. Even if you're the most unqualified, you may document it. I'm the most unqualified person who ever approached bhakti. I have no idea what it is, how it works, anything. Doesn't matter. If you stay in the association of those who are satam, then this unfoldment will take place in your life. And now we'll take a few reflections or questions. Yes? We promised a free mic with every question and $100 for a bad question.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev.
Hare Krishna.
I have two questions.
Okay.
First, why is it that doing the wrong thing is so easy and doing the right thing takes so much effort and discipline?
It's because of habit. When you're learning to play a musical instrument, if you learn to play it wrong, it takes 7 times longer for the teacher to get you to do it right. Did you know that? That's an old saying. There's a meme about how a student comes to learn how to play sitar, and the teacher says, "How long have you been practicing?" He says, "I've never touched one before." And he says, okay, it'll take you about 1.5 years to learn how to play it. The next person comes in, says, I'd like to learn the sitar. He said, how long have you been playing it? I said, I learned on my own. I've been playing for about 5 years. And he goes, okay, it'll take you 20 years to learn. Why? Because you got some bad habits, and it's really hard to undo those. And the Bhagavad-Gītā describes how we're on a continuum, and we've been associated with what is called the material world, the material energy, and we've been in the habit of taking shelter of matter over and over and over again. So it becomes second nature habit. And to change that takes a little work. We actually have to take the first part of bhakti, which is called vidhi. You have to be disciplined in the beginning, because you won't naturally want to do it. The beginning stage means you understand with your intelligence that this is a good idea, but you don't have any taste for it. In fact, it may taste bad. And this is a teaching that comes from the Nectar of Instruction by Srila Rupa Goswami. He says that when you begin your practice of chanting, what does he say? Syat Krishna nama charitari sitapta vidya. Because of being associated with avidya, or ignorance, for so long, you have a disease that he compares to jaundice. Jaundice is the over-secretion of bile in your system. And it not only turns you yellow, literally, but it also coats your tongue, and anything you eat, especially things that are sweet, taste repulsive. And so he says, when you first start, because of connection with ignorance for so long, it pervades our bodies in very strategic places. Our hearts, our minds, our very senses are used to certain things. Then he says, when you chant Hare Krishna, which he then compares to the curative for jaundice, which is sugarcane juice. Sugarcane juice is readily available in India. There are these places where you go up and they take the stalk and they run it through. They used to have a hand. Some places they might still have it, but now they just have a machine and they flick it on and and it goes through, and you can watch the stalk of sugarcane go through, and then the juice comes out, and they collect it, they strain it, put in a little ginger, a little lime, and you drink that. And it's got a curative effect for jaundice. So the doctor will tell you, you've got jaundice, every day you go down to the corner there to my friend Dilip, and you tell him that I want 1 cup pure sugarcane juice. He said, but I warn you, when you take that, it's going to taste awful. Even though it's the sweetest thing on earth. And so you start drinking, and you're thinking, this does taste terrible, but I trust my doctor, it's going to cure. So Rupa Goswami says, as you chant Hare Krishna, don't be surprised if every fiber of your body freaks out and says, ew, this is awful. I want to scroll on the internet. I want to have 8-second movies and that mean nothing, that end nowhere, that have no plot, that just move on one thing to another. I don't want any conclusion to anything. I just want to be suspended in ignorance with no idea of what's going on in the world. But then as you deliberately take the direction of the doctor and take the sugarcane juice and you continue the chanting, he says, just as jaundice begins to cure, and by the 4th, 5th day, you feel like, well, maybe it doesn't taste as bad. And then maybe a week, 10 days later, you say, actually, it tastes a little sweet. And then later, after that, you say, oh, this is so nice. So there are stages in devotional service, very particularly chanting. The first stage is called the offensive stage, when we have no idea what we're doing, and we feel as if we're stumbling and we are not getting a lot of taste. And then comes a clearing stage where we start to feel, oh, this has some effect on me, it's making my life better. And then there's the pure stage where we've tasted fully. And this is ṛcchati, one step after another. We have to follow the process. And overcoming ignorance is no small thing. It's deeply embedded in us. Well, actually, I'll retract that. It's not so deeply embedded. It's not part of our nature, but we've been covered by it for so long that we've gotten used to it. And it's easy. You can get used to anything and then think it's normal. As we notice various phenomena in the world, sociologically, politically, everything, people just get used to being a certain way and they think that's everything. So we're like that in the material world, and it takes time in the association of devotees and taking the medicine to reawaken. Sorry, can't give you $100. Okay, let's see if there's another question. Bali Mardam Prabhu, and he's already got a microphone.
Thank you to Radha Kripa, he's expert.
He gave it to you? Okay.
So actually you answered partly my question, which was about the anukramishati, means following the order, like Shraddha, Ratir, Bhakti, Anukramishati. So why not it is said just you develop love of Godhead? Means because you are meeting Satam Prasangam, right? You are meeting a pure devotees. Just like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Kaya, Lava Matra, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shistri Vai. So here at least giving a hope that lava means fraction of the second. But here it looks like is giving an example of sadhana bhakti. Means you do just like Brahma said in Brahma Samhita, krame krame bhavet prema. So I just wanted to understand what does the anukramishati means and how do you relate to ourselves? Let's say you come for a year, then you develop Shraddha, or either a timeline, or how do we judge ourselves?
Thanks, Bali Prabhu. No $100 for you. Great question. Some of it is semantics and is relative, because in this verse we also have ashu. Very quickly this will happen. And as you mentioned, a verse in Bengali says sadhu sangha sarva shastra. Lava matra means in a 14th of a second you'll get this. It doesn't define this as pure love of God, but it does say that you'll get a dose that's powerful enough to bring you to that level. So in various scriptural utterances, there are descriptions of time, that things happen all at once. And as an example, in describing how one becomes free from the influence of one's past karma, as described, aparada palam papam, kutam bijam palon mukam, krame naiva praliyante Vishnu bhakti ratatmanam. This is a verse from the Padma Purana that describes how when you take to bhakti, you become free from all kinds of karma. And there are different types of karma, there are different stages of it. There's, just like with a seed, there's pre-seed. Maybe that's where that comes from. Doesn't. Pre-seed, then there's the seed, then the seed sprouts, and then it grows, and then it becomes a plant, then it bears fruit. So all those are different levels of karmic reaction that grow and cycle in our lives that keep us in the material world. But it says, Vishnu bhakti ratatmanam, when you take to the process of bhakti, all of those are obliterated. Then there's a subtlety to the description, and that is, do they get destroyed all at once, or do they get destroyed in stages? And one of the commentators on this says, it's just like if you take a stack of 1,000 lotus petals. Does anybody have a stack of 1,000 lotus petals? We can demonstrate if you do. But imagine if you put them together, and then you take a long needle and you push it through. As you're making a garland for Krishna with 1,000 lotus petals, you push the needle through. He says, you could say it went through all at once. But then he says, but actually, if you look at it scientifically, it went one by one. So in the semantics of this, step by step, anukramishati means it happens ashu, all at once, immediately, but there are stages that you go through. However, there is a way in which, although these stages are mentioned in various places that one develops bhakti, through which one develops bhakti, beginning with Shraddha, and then Sadhu Sangha, All these things, you know what Shraddha means already, right? Means your heart's in it. And then sadhu sangha means you want to associate with devotees. And then bhajana kriya means, as Bali was mentioning, you have to apply yourself with your intelligence because you don't have a taste yet. And then you come to what's called nishta, or anartha nivritti, where you notice that you're getting rid of bad habits. And then you come to nishta, which means steadiness. It's cognate with the word stand in English. You have a place to stand in bhakti. You're not pushed around. You're not wishy-washy. You're like, this is it. I'm in it. Then comes ruchi, or taste. You actually feel the taste, like you're pushing a rock uphill, and once it gets there, it rolls down the other side. It just goes by itself. And then comes asakti, which means it becomes your primary focus. There's nothing else that you're interested in. And then comes bhava, the heart begins to melt, and then prema, which is the ultimate goal, the pure love for Krishna. However, although it's, forget the however, I'll just say although it's mentioned as a process, our teachers, acharyas, say that you may anachronistically experience one of the stages that are more advanced for your level. Do you understand what I mean? You may be a beginner. You may be a beginner and you're just starting bhakti, but suddenly have an experience of something like ruchi. That, oh, this is the best thing I've ever had. This is the taste is there completely. Or maybe even higher than that. Something along the lines of what's called bhava, where your heart melts. And that's known as a free sample. When I lived in Chicago, there was a company that used to help sell candy when it first came out. So what they'd bring, they had these young people come out, and they had these big platforms that they'd wear around their neck with a bunch of candy bars, but they weren't regular size, they were just mini. And there'd be a lineup of people down the block to get their little free sample of the new candy bar that had the logo on it and everything. And if they went back and said, give me another, they'd say, sorry, you got to go buy it now. And in a similar way, we find in Bhagavatam, someone who's just starting off in bhakti may get a free sample of a higher state of experience in bhakti as an inspiration. So it's not so pedantic that you just say, okay, this period lasts this long, that period lasts. That there's a general idea for that, but there's also a way in which you may get an experience beyond your years. That happened with Narada Muni. You can read that section at another time when Narada was just a little boy. He got sadhu sangha, or association with devotees, and he heard from them for 6 months. And as a 5-year-old, he became enlightened. He was in a one-parent family. After the sages left his house, his mother died. There he was all alone. He came from a poor family, poor neighborhood. So he just walked away because he was already experiencing self-reliance on the process of devotional service. And then it's described how they had this unusually high revelation about bhakti. And then when he went back for another sample, Krishna said, sorry, now you got to buy it. He gave you the experience. And so that may be there also. And now we're out of time. Because normally we just go on and on and on. I mean, I would. And today, however, we have a variety show because there are a couple other events unfolding, and I think Pavani Bhakti warned you about it last night. Didn't warn you, she told you. It started as a warning, but then she said, no, it's going to be great. You're going to like it. It's a variety show. So now we have a group that has orchestrated if I'm not incorrect, it's about the shlokas, right? Those are at night? I see. So the youth presentation is now. So now we're going to bring out here somebody from the younger generation who's going to talk about bhakti in a brief presentation. Thank you very much, everyone, for your kind attention. And TBC, to be continued. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, dear Guru Maharaj, for a fantastic class again this morning on Prabhupada's 10th Canto picks. It's very nectarian to hear continuously in a series all the favorite verses of Srila Prabhupada in the 10th Canto. I'm sure all of us are relishing and appreciating the glory of Srila Prabhupada. So today we will have the Kaishara presentation by our own Krishna Priya. And today also marks the 60 years of Srila Prabhupada stepping on this land of America. And it's very auspicious. And as Krishna desires it, Krishna Priya has selected this topic unintentionally, but it's very well fitting to this occasion. The topic is, do I need a guru?
Hare Krishna. My name is Krishna Priya, and today I will be presenting on the 9th chapter of the book Bhagavad-Gītā, titled Do I Need a Guru? Who is a guru? A guru is someone who teaches us or gives us knowledge. We have different types of gurus. Our first guru is our mother and father. Then we have the various teachers who teach us material knowledge. We also learn through the various interactions in society. Lastly, our spiritual guru teaches us transcendental knowledge so that we can follow the spiritual path. Temporary and transcendental realms. This material world is temporary, and many people are getting stuck trying to gain knowledge so they can succeed in this material world. However, there's a spiritual world in which we belong. The spiritual teacher, empowered by the Lord, guides us on the spiritual path, inculcates the essential attitude in us, and invites us back to the material world for an eternal life. However, in this presentation, we will specifically keep our focus on the spiritual guru. In Shrimad Bhagavatam 11.20.27, Krishna says to Uddhava, Nirdehamadhyam sulabham sudurlabham plavam sukalpam guru karnadaram mayanukule nanabhasvateditam puman bhavabdim nataretsa atmaha. The human body, which can award all benefit in life, is automatically obtained by the laws of nature, although it is a very rare achievement. This human body can be compared to a perfectly constructed boat, having the spiritual master as the captain and the instructions of the Personality of Godhead as the favorable wings impelling it on its course. Considering all these advantages, a human being who does not utilize its human life to cross the ocean of material existence must be considered the killer of his own soul. How does one become a guru? A guru is a transcendental teacher of spiritual science who faithfully followed and imbibed the teachings of his own bona fide guru. This Guru Parampara thus connects to the Supreme Lord where all knowledge originates. The Guru Parampara, as per the Shrimad Bhagavatam, starts with Krishna, Brahma, Narada Muni, Vyasadev, Sukadev Goswami, Sutta Goswami, all the Naimisharanya sages, and so on. Why do we need to have a bona fide guru? We are all conditioned souls and imperfect. We need someone to guide us on the spiritual path. A bona fide guru can show us the real importance of the divine scriptures and guide us on the spiritual path. Krishna also says in Bhagavad-Gītā 4.34, Tadvidi pranipatena praniprashnena sevaya upadikshyanti te jnanam jnaninas tatvadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Practice the process. Srila Prabhupada took the instruction. Let's look at some examples from the Shrimad Bhagavatam of devotees who have taken shelter of their spiritual master and followed their instructions. Vyasadeva took the instructions of Narada Muni and wrote the Shrimad Bhagavatam. Then Dhruva Maharaj and Prahlad Maharaj became devotees by following the instructions of Narada Muni. Arjuna surrendered to Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra when he was confused. Srila Prabhupada took the instructions of his Guru Maharaj to preach to the Western world and spend a lifetime in preparation. And all the disciples of Srila Prabhupada and their disciples who have taken the instructions of Srila Prabhupada to propagate Krishna consciousness all over the world. Conclusion. We learn from various teachers that as a student, our goal is to get good grades, and as an adult, our goal is to succeed in professional life. However, if we want to make full proper use of our human life, we should select a bona fide spiritual master and follow his instructions so that we can go home back to Godhead. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Krishna Priya. That was an electrifying presentation. You moved at a really good pace, and I liked your slides and the progression of your thoughts, how you put it together. It was convincing, and I like that you gave a spectrum of teachers, especially the part where you talked about how we come into the world in ignorance, and our first gurus are our parents, and then we have teachers to show us how to interact with the world. And then your grand finale ended with such a strong point about how we need a spiritual guru in order to achieve the ultimate goal of life, which is to go back to the spiritual world. I thought it was very well done. You were very well spoken and well prepared. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Any other comments, questions, reflections? Yes, Mataji, let me give you the other mic.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for this wonderful presentation, Krishna Priya. And I really loved how you described the body as a boat, which can be guided with the help of spiritual master. And it can help you cross the material ocean to go back to Godhead. Thank you.
Krishna Priya, thank you very much. You really did a good job. You chanted the slokas so nicely, and you weren't just giving the information by rote. I feel like you really understand it. Two things popped out at me that caught my ear, and you said when Krishna invites us back to be with him, back home, back to Godhead. I really liked that you said it like that. And a few times in your presentation, you mentioned it's a bona fide spiritual master, and I think that's a really important point. So thank you for making that.
Yeah. Thank you, Guruma. Yes. Ritvik?
Hare Krishna, Krishna Priya. I really liked your presentation and all the various points you made. As Guru Ma said, you talked a lot about the bona fide guru. When you said Shloka 4.34 from the Bhagavad-Gītā, that really stuck out to me. I was wondering if you could expand on that point a little.
So this text is basically explaining that when we approach like a spiritual master, they tell us, they give us instructions and give us points. So then when we approach a spiritual master, we can learn from them and we can get knowledge so that we can see the truth.
Thank you.
Can I add something to that, Krishna Priya? So, very nice question, Ritvik. And an important point I wanted to highlight as part of this verse is to serve. Serving as submissively spiritual master as well as disciples and other devotees in the temple. Menial service. And actually, Krishna Priya's family is exemplary in this regard. There's no point, no place of this temple, there's no space in this temple that they have not cleaned as a family. And so menial service is what connects us and brings our ego down so that we can actually understand the knowledge and realize it. A lot of us, we can read as much as we want, we can memorize as much as we want, but Krishna in the heart reveals himself, that knowledge, only when we have that right attitude. So this verse is very potent for that aspect, I think. So thank you for that question and bringing that point out. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Priya. It was a very wonderful and beautiful presentation. I really like the slides and the shlokas that you have chosen to explain the topic. It was very seamless, as Maharaj said and Gurma and others said. It was such a beautiful presentation. Thank you for clearly explaining the concept in a seamless way.
Thank you, Prabhu. Any other questions, comments, reflections? Yes. Oh, Prabhu, do you want to say something? Okay. So with that, we will stop here, and it's just a perfect time for our next program. So thank you so much, Krishna Priya, for putting a lot of effort. I know she's been a little bit sick, and there's a lot of sickness going around in schools as well as in a lot of devotees. So thank you for all your effort in spite of your sickness. It shows your surrender and your dedication. And I pray that you have many more such opportunities to continue presenting and blessing us with your association. Handing over to Yogadesh, Prabhu.
Hello, Hare Krishna. We're going to be starting our next segment. Hare Krishna. Our next segment here will be a Shastrajam showcase. For those of you who might be here for the first time or may not be familiar with Shastrajam, this is an endeavor that was started and led by Vaisesika Maharaj. It's an endeavor for our whole community to learn verses or Shastra together as a community. The idea is that we want to go beyond just learning the verse and try to go deeper, understand the purport, understand the commentary, the meaning, and see how it applies to our own lives and connect it to other verses to enhance our own understanding of the scriptures. What we have today is the showcase. So in any campaign that we have, we generally have a set of verses that we're all learning as a community. At the end, we give the devotees an opportunity to submit what they've learned. And at the end of that, we have a showcase where we give them a chance to show what they know. So what we have prepared here today for our current campaign, which is Prabhupada's Picks, Prabhupada's most quoted verses from the 10th canto. We have a quiz, and the quiz will cover some of the verses from our campaign, and for each verse, we'll have 3 questions. The first question will be, we'll give you the translation. We want someone to recite the Sanskrit for that verse. The second question will be a multiple choice question, where you have some options on the screen and you have to pick the right answer. And the third question will be a free response question, where there'll be a question and then you have to give the response to the best of your knowledge. And those will generally be from the purports and the commentaries from the content that we've provided. And so this will be done for each of the different verses we have, and we'll rotate between teams of devotees from people who want to participate. So for the part of creating teams, anyone who wants to join can join and participate on a team. So it doesn't matter if you've learned one verse, if you've learned all the verses, or if you haven't even learned any of them, you just want to give it a shot. You're welcome to come up and give it a try. So what we'll do is we'll invite anyone who wants to come up here, and then Madhuri Saki will help us divide you into different teams. And then we'll also ask anyone who doesn't want to participate if you can shift it backwards, because we'd like to use this space up here to have the teams sit. So at this time, I'll invite anyone who wants to participate to please come up front to the carpet. And if you don't, I request you to please shift back a little bit.
So hopefully everyone remembers their numbers. So group 1 will be on that corner. So if you can
all the ones go to that corner. And again, the devotees that are not participating, if you could just scoot back a little bit more so they can be seated. And we can separate the teams. And then group 2 will be on that corner over there, where Krishna Saka Prabhu is. So if you're in group 2, please go there. If you're not in group 2, please leave that area. Group 3 will be on this corner. Group 3 will be here. So if you're in group 3, please go to this corner. And group 4 will be on this corner.
Next slide. So we'll start with group 1. I think group 1's over here. And so for anyone in the team can answer the question. Ideally, we want to get some variety. Hopefully everyone can answer, but there's no pressure. So the first question is, this is the translation of the verse 10.1.4. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the parampara system. That is, it is conveyed from the spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self? Does anyone know the Sanskrit verse for this? From team 1 only. Does anyone know the Sanskrit verse for this verse? And if you can recite it, please.
Devrittatashe rupakiyavadat bhavausadakshotrapado viravad kautavasloka gudaduvadat bhuvad virajeta vidapashutat.
Haribol. So sticking with group 1, now we'll have a multiple choice question. Anyone can answer. Which word in the verse indicates that Krishna Katha is the medicine for the material disease? Only group 1. Anyone who would like to answer?
Devrittatashe.
No. Which word in this verse indicates the Katha? Which is the medicine?
Bhavausadakshotrapado.
Yes, perfect. And then the last question we have for team 1 is, the verse says glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the parampara system, that is, it is conveyed from the spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. Why is it that we should hear Krishna Katha in the parampara system from a qualified speaker?
When we hear in the parampara system, like in the Shrimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that when we hear from pure devotees or those who are practicing pure devotional service, then their realizations and their purity helps us to understand and also imbibe within ourselves the teachings, what we are hearing, rather than just listening from somebody who is just doing it for money or trying to do it for fame or making a show.
Exactly. The key idea there is that the intention really matters. It's not about just doing it as a professional recitation or just for money. It's about someone who's actually learned it, actually imbibed it, and understood it. Perfect. Hari Bol. Okay, team 2. If someone can give the verse, the Sanskrit verse for this. Oh yeah, that was me last time, yeah. Oh yeah, if someone could give the Sanskrit for this verse.
Vasudeva katha prashna purusham strin punatihi bhoktāraṁ pritchakam shrotrins tatpada salilam yatha.
Perfect. Then the multiple choice question. Who is not one of the 3 varieties of men purified when questions about Lord Krishna are discussed? The speaker, the inquirer, the listener, or the commentator? Yes. And then lastly, there's an analogy given in this verse. Explain it and how it relates to the verse.
Yes, like the tatpada salilam yatha, like it purifies. Lord's lotus water, which is coming from his lotus feet, is purified 3 planetary system, the upper, middle, and lower. Similarly, 3 types of people get benefited when Krishna Katha is being spoken. the people the person who is speaking, the persons who are listening, and also who is asking the question. So 3 types of people. I think that is the analogy given in the verse.
Yeah, perfect. Maybe I'll swap over to this side.
I have a complaint.
Yes.
On that last question. I have a complaint about the comment of why the commentator wouldn't be benefited. It falls within the 3 categories, right?
That's fair. We were trying actually we didn't know what to put for that one, so we went for like just commentator as like we thought it'd be a safe bet, someone who's just generally passing by.
Somebody walking into 7-Eleven or something like that. But the commentator is very intimately connected with it, so they're going to get purified too. That's my complaint.
That's fair.
All right.
We'll pass to team 3 now. If you can give the Sanskrit verse for this translation.
येन्येरविन्दाक्षविमुक्तमानिनस्त्वयस्तभावाद विशुद्धबुद्धया आरुह्य कृच्छ्रेण परं पदं तथा पतन्त्यदो नादृतयुष्मदङ्गया.
Haribol. And then the multiple choice question for team 3. Which phrase in the verse explains what happens to non-devotees who accept a different process for attaining salvation? Aruya krichena, vimukta maninas, patantyado, or astabhavad?
C, patantyado.
Yes.
I also dispute. I say it's A and C.
A and C.
Do you understand my logic? What happens if somebody doesn't take to the process aruya krichena, which means they have to work hard, and then patantyado, they fall back down from that hard work that they don't get anything out of. What do you think?
I agree. Bonus points. Now, in the purport for this verse, there is an example of a devotee given from Shrimad Bhagavatam who exemplifies this verse. Does anyone recall who this devotee is? And if not, you can give any devotee as an example who exemplifies the verse. As a hint, this devotee comes in the 4th canto. He's a young 5-year-old boy. So I can give I pulled out a part of the purport that's given here. It says, Dhruva Maharaj at first wanted to achieve the greatest material kingdom and greater material possessions than his father. But when he was actually favored by the Lord, who appeared before him to give the benediction he desired, Dhruva Maharaj refused it, saying, Swamin kritarthosmi varam na yache. Now I am fully satisfied. I do not want any material benediction from the Hari Bhakti Subodhaya. This is the perfection of life. So this is the example that was given in the purport. It was Dhruva Maharaj as someone who exemplified this verse.
But the example is given who followed them. That's the opposite one.
Oh, okay. Okay, maybe we can go to the next question, to team 4. If you can give a verse for this translation.
Nanama rupe guna janma karma bir nirupitavye tavatasya sakshina mano vachobhya manumeya vartmano deva kriyayam pratiyantya tapihi.
Haribol. And then for the multiple choice question, which of these activities can help one ascertain Krishna's name and form? So chanting Hare Krishna, thinking of Krishna's pastimes where he fought demons, studying the Mahabharata, or hearing a class about Damodar Lila, or all of the above?
E, all of the above.
Okay, yeah. And then the last question is, does anyone recall a verse, another verse from the 11th canto, that says something similar, that devotional service is the only means devotees can bring Krishna under their control? Maybe we can give the first couple of words. Na sadhayati. Anyone ring a bell? Yeah, maybe we can pass it to someone else. I see Kuldeep Pran Prabhu very enthusiastically raising his hand.
It is bhaktya ekayam grahya śraddhayatma priya satam bhakti punati mam nishtham swapakaman api sambhava. That only by the process of bhakti I can be achieved with full faith, with full shraddha. Even by that process, even a sapaka, means which is a dog eater, he can actually come to the platform of the highest devotional level.
Nice, that fits. Another verse we were thinking of was na sadhayati mam yogo, na sankyam dharma uddhava, na swadhyaya tapastyago yatha bhaktir mamojita, which says, my dear Uddhava, the unalloyed devotional service rendered to me by my devotees brings me under their control. I cannot thus be controlled by those engaged in mystic yoga, Sankhya philosophy, pious work, Vedic study, austerity, or renunciation. We'll come back to team one now. Does anyone know the Sanskrit for this verse? Go ahead.
Shidvadkrit atsam svarayascha chittayad lavani rupani chavakkaladite kiya shriyashtra charadaru vidayor avishta cheta dabhavaya kalpate.
Hari Bol. For the multiple choice question, which of these is not a definition of kriyasu according to our acharyas? A, by manual labor, B, by work, C, by knowledge, and D, engaged in devotional service.
Knowledge.
Yes, that's correct. And then from the purport and commentaries, Prabhupada was given the translation by manual labor and by work. And then in Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, he says engaged in devotional service. And then for the next question, the verse described how devotees who perform devotional service, even while engaged in various activities, can understand Krishna. Give an example of a devotee from our scriptures that was fixed in devotional service even while engaged in ordinary activities.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur.
Could you elaborate?
I mean, he was being in a government position, judiciary position, doing his daily responsibilities. Yet he was always engaged in composing literature, writing songs, chanting, and spreading the movement in the community. So in that way, yeah, he was always engaged.
We'll take it, but I heard one more answer from here that I think was what we heard.
Amrish Maharaj.
Yes. Can you say it one more time on?
Amrish Maharaj, he was a king and he was a very good king as well as a very good devotee, and he used all parts of his body in engaging in devotional service. Hands to eat Krishna Prasadam, to smell tulsi leaves, the nose, ears to hearing, and then to embrace devotees, to go to temples. That is, he used his legs to go to temple. He used his wealth to build temples. So in that way, he used whatever he had in devotional service, along with being a good king.
Perfect. Haribol. And sticking with team 2, does anyone know the verse for this translation? The verse given in the PDF.
Mahadvichalnam nrinam krihinam dina-chetasam.
Perfect. And the next question is, who is speaking to whom in this verse? So we have A, Garga Muni to Nanda Maharaj. Is it Nanda Maharaj to Garga Muni, Shukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit, or Maharaj Parikshit to Shukadev Goswami?
Nanda Maharaj to Garga Muni.
Yes. Now, in his commentary for this verse, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes how great saints can bring the highest fortune to householders, but he describes one quality they must have to be able to receive such mercy. What is that quality, and what part of the verse points to that quality? As a hint, it's a quality that's also described in the 3rd verse of Shastrajam.
Being humble. And we were just talking about Mahadvichalam, like, Dina Chetasa.
Yes. Okay, moving to team 3. Does anyone recall the verse for this translation?
Asan varnastrayo yasya grinato nuyugam tanu shuklo raktastatapita idanam Kṛṣṇatam gataha.
Perfect. Now, in their purport, Prabhupada states one word describes that Krishna is free to make his own choice on the color he wants to appear in. What is that word? Is it granato, Kṛṣṇatam, tanu, or asan?
A, grinato.
Yes. In this verse, the yellow form of the Lord describes his incarnation in Kali Yuga. According to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, though this description of the Lord appears in the Mahabharata, it is not clearly stated in other Shastras. Why is that? And as a bonus, what's a verse from Prahlad Maharaj's prayers that substantiates this?
Help me out. Lokan vipava yasi hamsa jagat pratipan dharman mahapurusha
Dharma Mahapurush itam tatavatar lokan vibhava yasi hamsa jagat pratipam dharmam mahapurusha pasi yuganuvrittam channa kalo yadabhavastri yagota sattvam. The last line basically says that it basically says the Lord appears in different forms, like to animals and the human form, etc. But in Kali Yuga, he appears in a hidden form. Channa kalo yadabhavastri yagota sattvam. Channa, he is hidden in Kali Yuga.
Exactly. Spot on. We're back to team 4. Does anyone know the verse for this translation?
The verse is Naham sukapa bhagavan dehinam gopika sutta jñāninam śātma-bhūtānāṁ yatha bhakti matamiha.
So according to the verse, who is Krishna most easily accessible to?
D.
D, okay, a devotee. That's correct. And then the commentators describe how Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lakshmi also cannot attain Krishna even though they are demigods. Why is that?
Is it because they are not... They don't have spontaneous devotion like the devotees in Vrindavan.
Sure.
Because they have the ego of controllers, and therefore it inhibits them from having what you just mentioned. He was going to say that? What he said.
No, I think the main phase is the last yata bhakti mata hiya. So that's the main thing that this verse is pointing. So that bhakti, and I think Maharaj told about this, that bhakti is devoid of that controllership mentality, and because the whatever name that you have mentioned, they might have that service to do in the service, so that might inhibit them to show that complete.
Correct. Haribol. We're passing it back to team 4. Team 1. Does anyone recall the verse for this translation?
Yare prayasa vadapa sadapatteva jivati sadbukalita bhavadiya vartam stade shrita shrutikatap tadavad balobir ye prayasho jita jito api asitaresti lokyam.
Haribol. This verse described how one should offer their mind, body, and words to descriptions of Krishna's personality and activities without speculation. Which phrase in the verse means that one does so even while remaining in their social or material position?
Tiniest.
Yes. Now, just what is a bhajan that gives a similar meaning in relation to this verse, specifically chanting Harinam in whatever position you're in?
Grihe thako vane thako sada hari bole dako.
Could you elaborate a little bit on what it means and why it relates?
So, if one either is one in the in whichever spiritual order or social position you may be, like you may be a brahmachari, a grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi, or you may be engaged in different activities. But if you just keep chanting Hare Krishna and engaging in Krishna Katha, then you can get the perfection of life.
Perfect. Back to team 2. Does anyone know the verse for this translation?
Tatte nukambam susumikshmano bunjana yevatmakritam vipakam hridvagva purbir vidadan namaste jivetayo mukti pade sadayavak.
That's correct. This verse describes how Krishna's mercy becomes one's rightful claim when he or she patiently suffers fruitive reactions while offering obeisances to him with his heart, words, and body. Which phrase in the verse means the rightful claim or the heir?
It's Dayabhak.
Yes. In the purport for this verse, there is an analogy given from Srila Sridhar Swami's commentary. What is the analogy and how does it relate to this verse?
We have a friend who helped us. Like a son of a king is the rightful owner of the inheritance. He just have to actually be alive. So similarly in the bhakti, we have to just be alive so that we can actually get the perfect destination.
Perfect. Okay, we'll do 2 more, 1 for each team, and then I think we're hitting time.
You have to stay alive in Krishna consciousness.
Does anyone from team 3 recall the verse for this translation?
Samashitaye padapallavaplavam
Mahatpadam punya yasho marare
Mayanukul Bhavam Buddhir Vatsa Padam Padam Bhavam Buddhir Vatsa Padam Param Padam
Padam padam yad vipadam natesham.
Haribol. What a nice team effort. Which phrase means that the ocean of material existence becomes as easy to cross as a calf's footprint?
D.
Bhavam Buddhir Vatsa Padam. And then how does taking shelter of such devotees transform a dangerous world, padam padam yadvipadam, into the supreme destination, param padam, even while one is still living here in the material world?
Can we make up the use Shastra to make?
That's encouraged, yes.
Okay. So there's the other verse, Shinvan Grinan Samsmaran Shatintayan, and it says one who's always engaged in Krishna consciousness, na bhavaya kalpate, he's not fit for, or he's not on this material platform, he's on a spiritual platform. So similarly, when one takes shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, he's on the spiritual platform, so there's no danger for him. He's not on a material platform where things disturb him.
That works. Haribol. And then the last question we have for team 4. Does anyone recall the verse for this translation?
Vikriditam vrajavadubhiridam cha Vishnu Shraddhanvito nushunuyadatavarnayetya Bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhya kamam Rudrogamashvapahino tyachirena dhiraha.
Perfect. This verse describes a disease of the heart. Which word or phrase is that disease?
B?
Not quite. So Hridrogam means the disease of the heart, but the disease it's being referred to is kamam, which is lust. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that one who faithfully hears and chants about the Lord's playful affairs with the young gopis of Vrindavan gets the crest jewel of all results, namely Krishna Prema or Bhakti Param. Someone might ask, will Krishna Prema not appear within those who have no faith in the Krishna or who offend Krishna's holy name? What is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's response to that question?
So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that if you don't have faith, Krishna Prema will not appear in them. That is his answer.
Yes, and then to elaborate on that, Krishna Prema will definitely appear in the person who is devoid of foolishness, dhira, who accepts the statements of Krishna with full faith. However, Krishna Prema will not appear with those who have no faith in Krishna or who offend the holy name. Yes, exactly. I think that's all the time we have for now. I want to say a few closing words and a few thank yous.
So how do we correlate this with Sanketyam Parihasyam Stovanam Helam Eva, where it says that even if you take the holy name derisively, you still get the benefit? How do we compare this with that?
Maybe I'll pass that question to Maharaj.
The phrase about how they specifically don't have faith in the holy name defines the person who is willfully ignorant, as Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad-Gītā. There are some that are specifically against the propagation of Krishna consciousness or the idea of there being a Krishna. And that's distinct from somebody who incidentally says the holy name derisively, accidentally, attributively, and so forth. Because it's not that they're against it. This indicates people have no faith. Specifically, they're against the holy name, not that they haven't developed any sense of Krishna consciousness yet. That's the context of it. They're specifically, no faith in this context means they're against the idea of chanting the holy name, which goes to also the 9th offense. We shouldn't talk to them about it.
Rasheshri Mataji.
Maharaj, I had one follow-up question to your comment on a previous verse about how the demigods have a desire to control and that blocks them. So, but Lord Shiva is exempt, right? He's not an ordinary demigod like Brahma or other demigods or Lakshmi. Is Shiva also?
He was also on the list there.
Yeah.
Any of the controllers can come into a position where their power is so great that they test. And we know Shiva, 9th canto, right? Is it 9? 8th canto. When he wants Mohini Murti to appear, just so he can see the power of the Lord and so forth. But he's mentioned in that context also. Although Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, still there's a distinction between the residents of Vrindavan, Lord Shiva, or anybody else for that matter, but especially those in the context of having some power and connection with the material world. Śāntim yatad vikara vishesha yoga, it means he's almost the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but Prabhupada says like a lamp covered with carbon. Shiva has some contact, whereas Vishnu never has contact.
Okay, thank you, Maharaj.
We have one more question from Shukeshri Mataji.
I was wondering the question that came to this team about the Kriyashu, and the answer was knowledge. I was just wondering that I can have knowledge of Krishna, so all of. Can you put that question on? Because I thought that none of them were right answers.
We also had a similar understanding when knowledge was mentioned here, that knowledge is required to even perform devotional service. So best among the answers was knowledge, but knowledge actually is required for us to even perform devotional service, even Kriyasu. That's what our understanding was also. Yeah.
But again, it's the context, because it's not... Those who emphasize knowledge over activity is the main thing. It's not that there's no knowledge. Knowledge comes from karma yoga also. But those who depend on knowledge, you may not have to do that. Kriyasi yatsvasharanada vindayo. If you just engage in service, is the main point there, simple service. Will lead to knowledge, not that you depend on knowledge in order to do devotional service.
Thank you for those questions and explanations. The last few things I want to do is recognize all the devotees who submitted and participated in this campaign. So congratulations to all the devotees who participated. I'll say all the names. We can give a round of applause for each level. So you have Pyari Charan Prabhu, Kishori, and Sukha Rupa Mataji. So these devotees participate. They learn at least one verse. The next level we had was level 1, where they learned at least 5 verses. We have Prema Nishta Mataji, Jambavati Mataji, Prishni, Vicky, Haladar Rup Prabhu, Anapayani Bhakti, Gita Priya, Indu Mataji, and Bhagavad Pran. Then level 2 was those devotees who learned at least 10 verses. There was Vaishnavi, Prisha Agrawal, Shraddha Mataji, Manjari Gopika Mataji, Ananga Sundari Mataji, Ananga Gopika Mataji, Mangal Bhakti Mataji, Rati Parda, Sushi Mataji, and Hina Mataji. Then level 3 was those who learned at least 20 verses, which is Niharika, Arman, Sukeshri Mataji, Manya, and Radhika Prema Mataji. And then those who learned all 29 verses, pretty big list. Radhika Anuradha Mataji, Shamalangi Mataji, Kameshwari Mataji, Malini Mataji, Nitai, Prem Nitai Prabhu, Kunjari, Aname, Akshanitai, Mukharvan Prabhu, Achyuta Chaitanya Prabhu, Apara Gaurangi Mataji, Kamalakshi Radha Mataji, Rajarasa Bhavan Prabhu, Sakla Subhag Prabhu, Nikunja Nayak Prabhu, Kautuk Karma Prabhu, Krishna Sakha Prabhu, and Kumar Leela Mataji. Hari Bol! Special shout out to His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu for also learning all 4 and answering all of our questions. No, I didn't get the video. Oh, I didn't get it. Then lastly, I want to give a shout out to the amazing team behind the scenes. There's Madhuri Saki, there's Abhay, there's Anshu, there's Anushree, and there's Adiraj. They're the ones that are working hard behind the scenes while balancing different other services, their schools, and make all of this possible, including all the content, all the content, the slides, as well as all the various discussions that we have behind the scene for planning all these things. It would not be possible without any of them. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Shastasara Prabhu, who also helped with the commentaries. Big thank you to all these devotees. And then lastly, of course, our biggest inspiration is His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu and Her Grace Nirkula Mataji, who always inspire us to continually learn and better understand the Shastras. None of this would be possible without them. So a huge round of applause for them.
Yogadesh Prabhu, thank you for taking this initiative to the next step and being very steady with it. That's your stock and trade is steadiness. I also noticed on the weekly recitations, you and Anushree, there were others, but you two I noticed were the main ones that showed up every week. And who else?
Adriraj and Anshu as well.
Adriraj also did regularly. Thank you very much, rain or shine, performing the service and bringing it to the next level and to your whole team. Congratulations.
And the last comment I'll make before we pass it to the next segment of our morning program is that we have certificates for all those participate. We don't have it today, so please come tomorrow and we'll pass it out to everyone. If you're not local, we'll make sure we send it to you through email or different means. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I think now we have any announcements, maybe from Bhakti community.
I'll make a quick announcement. I want to welcome all the Bhakti community people who participated in the retreat last night and who are going to continue today. So thank you, Ramon and Tatana in the back seat, and Matt over there. Chakanliji also came. Where is Paurush? I saw Paurush somewhere. Please raise your hand. And Emma are here. Hania is here. Nabia is here. Who else? Am I missing anybody? Okay, Grace is there. So yeah, thank you. And Julius, you are here. Bhakti Rasa also came. And there are more who are going to, who were last night, but who will be there at home directly. So thank you for doing that. I just want to inform the community that whatever work you are doing when you give books, it's so important. This is what happens after you give books. And when we nurture the newcomers and we take care of them, they come to such retreats and finally they come to temple programs. So we're so thankful to all the newcomers who came, and we are so proud of you. A moment of congratulations to all of you for making this happen for yourself. And I think I missed Yan. Yan is also here, and Meg was also here. Oh, sorry. Who else? Meg. Yeah. She was. Where is she? She left. Yeah. So yeah, there were a lot of newcomers today at the retreat. Thank you, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Tomorrow is our monthly Sankirtan offering for Bhadra Purnima. Hare Krishna, if you can hear me, please raise your hands. Okay. Thank you for your attention. Tomorrow we have the Bhadra Purnima MSF offering in the evening. And we are still inching towards our goal, literally inching towards our goal. And there is a message sent on the weekend warriors about we are still a little short. So please check your messages. And we are going to launch a video this evening. So please check out the WhatsApp messages and please try to spread that message far and wide. That's our humble request. And we are going out today for book distribution to multiple places. We are going to locations in South, North, East, and West. If you want to join, because there are too many locations, I don't want to overwhelm you with the locations, but you can contact Kautukarna Prabhu. He was here. Oh, Kautukarna Prabhu, who is back from Boston. He went for traveling Sankirtan to Boston. He's back. And we also have Krishna Sakha Prabhu, Kamalakshi Mataji, who came back from a traveling Sankirtan also. They went to Zion. And they were also joined by Haldarupa Prabhu, Kumari Leela, and Kunjari. They also went traveling Sankirtan. They had wonderful experiences. So you can talk to them and they can share their experiences as well. Since the short announcement, we are not making this as an announcement now. And if you want to join any of the teams, please reach out to them, Kautukarna Prabhu or myself, and I will help you to see if we can join one of the teams. It's really fun. And I want to tell one quick story. Generally, when we go out and ask someone to take a Shrimad Bhagavatam, we wanted to first tell them, don't worry about it. It's a lot of books, 18 books. You don't have to finish reading all of them. You don't have to you don't have to worry about the volume, the number of verses and everything. So I was explaining everything to him, saying that, oh, don't have to worry about that. And in the end, he told me, oh, really? I'm looking forward for reading all these books. And I was pleasantly surprised how that person said that. And another person came to the table and Namasmaran Prabhu was talking to him. And he said that I was looking for these books because my mother, long time ago, asked me to read these books, but I never got a chance. And recently I was thinking, where can I get these books? And then he came to one of the Indian stores and we ended up giving him the books. And we told them that we don't sell these books because they're too valuable to sell. You can give any donation. So he said, can I give you $150? We said, okay, no problem. We'll take whatever you give. He was giving 150, and then he said that, okay, make it 200. We said, okay, fine, make it 200. We charged $200 for his valuable contribution. And after some time, he went back. The devotee loaded the books in his car. When the books entered his car, he came back to the table and he said, can I give you 50 more? So we did a second transaction for $50 more. But you see how just keeping in touch with Srimad Bhagavatam, the moment he had the Bhagavatam enter his car, his heart, then the transformation begins. He just immediately came back, can you charge 50 more? So the effect of Bhagavatam, nobody can assess, nobody can even fathom. These are only external effects that we are seeing. But internally, as Prabhu was mentioning today, the deep effect of Bhagavatam, you'll only see once it's in your house and once you start reading. So please spread this message. Tomorrow is our last day. So please give Bhagavatam to everyone and anyone. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
We have one more announcement. Today's sponsor is the Patel family, who's sponsoring in memory of the late Rupal Chimbani Bhai Patel on the occasion of his disappearance day today.